the province of Alberta in Canada is roiling a little bit because apparently that's where all the oil sands are. Roiling.
They're
Cornell coming
messing around with their sisters?
No.
Isn't that what the Royals did?
Different. There's a Y in that. I'm going O-I. O-I-L.
They use too much pine tar.
Right. Like, when you see the water churning, that's roiling.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like the Kansas City Royals.
No, not them either.
Roiling.
Roiling, like percolating.
Cornell.
Thank you.
Cornell.
Been there.
Came out early today.
Super Cornell.
Roiling.
So apparently the majority of the Canadian oil is in the province of Alberta.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's all of it, or most of it.
Or oil of it.
Oil of it. Thank you, Olive. However, there now is 30% of the population in Alberta is considering separating themselves from the rest of Canada. And some of them want to be the 51st state.
Roiling. Okay.
So now there's talk. I don't know if it's the premier, whoever the head official of the Alberta provincial government is not in favor of this at all. But she said if 10% of the voters sign on to a referendum, we'll take a public vote in 2026.
Wow.
So I think that's big doings.
And I'm not real familiar with geography in Canada.
Okay.
But Alberta is on the west side.
One in from British Columbia.
British Columbia, then Alberta. All right. Those are both provinces, not territories. Yukon is a territory.
Right.
So when we purchased Alaska, one of the thought processes at that time, Canada didn't have their independence yet.
Right.
And one of the thought processes was we would connect all the U.S. and eventually get British Columbia and parts of Alberta.
That'd be beautiful.
So if this starts that process, wouldn't this separate British Columbia from mainland Canada?
From the rest of Canada.
Yes, 100%.
It would, right? Okay,
Yeah.
there it is. Thank you for the map, Blake.
So basically, so this one like entirely separates in Canada because you can still go around the territories.
Right, there's that whole northern part.
Yeah, but however though, it'll look weird, basically being like the middle finger with the United States.
So Vancouver's in Alberta, correct?
Vancouver's in British Columbia.
It's in British Columbia.
Calgary is
okay.
in Alberta.
The two that have hosted the Winter Olympics. Okay, I was going to say I know there was a Winter Olympics hosted in Alberta. I just have my Calgary.
You had your provinces juxtaposed.
Also,
I have my cities.
Also, Edmonton
cities mixed up.
Edmonton as well.
Okay, so
Edmonton's in Alberta. Edmonton did a Winter Olympics.
No. So Edmonton's in Alberta as well.
Yeah,
so you also have the Wayne Gretzky statue there in the 51st state as well. So
all right,
you got two tough hockey teams.
Let me kind of finish my thought here before I lose it again, because I lost it once already.
I'm with you.
So if Alberta goes, would it behoove British Columbia and the Yukon Territory to come with them and become the 52nd
and
53rd state?
Or just lump them all together and make one state out of them?
That's a big-ass state. That's Alaska size.
Yeah.
So, because Alberta's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
And British Columbia is, from what I'm told, is beautiful. I'd like to get out there. Gardens, fabulous, seashores. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, this could be a real thing if it makes it on the ballot.
Well, apparently, from what I read, 36% of the population is a little antsy. And I think it's, it's all about oil money, like everything, So it's the oil money. If Mark Carney, who is an economist, and now the new Prime Minister of Canada, gets his shit together soon enough, he can probably figure out a way to give them back some of their oil money and leave them alone.
Okay. Yeah. But the only thing I see of this is you remember the Quebec secession votes, like
when they wanted to be their own French country.
Yeah, that's all linguistically oriented.
But I see that there was a lot more passion in that than what I've seen with the Alberta secession plan. So it was a close vote, I believe. I think it was like 51 stay in Canada, 48% leave Canada. So I think it was close.
Was it close, really?
I think it was very close. I can look it up. So but however, I don't see like as much passion.
But they were trying to become their own nation.
Right.
Yeah.
If I remember right, Quebec was trying to become their own nation within
Canada.
all of Canada.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so that
geographically, this one makes more sense to me, and especially if British Columbia comes along with it.
I think
I
that's
don't know how interested British Columbia would be. The economic downfall for this would be, fine, you got oil money, but what about anything else? All of a sudden, then, we're gonna, if you stay your own,
You don't have to pay tariffs.
well, you might if you don't become part of the U.S.
Oh, you are going to pay if you don't become part of the
There you
U.S.
go.
So, if becoming a part of it, you don't have to pay the tariffs.
Of course, thank you for the fact that now China's down only to 30%, and the market went through the roof today.
There you go.
See?
Yeah, you hear that accordion?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's 90. Look, they got a 90-day cooling off period. We'll see what happens at the end of 90 days.
Yeah.
Everybody plays nice, we'll be fine. They don't. Back to 135, 145%.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So there were two independent referendums. The most recent one for Quebec was in 1995. Only 50.5% of the people chose to remain in Canada, while 49.4% said to leave and become its own country.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
That's closer than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that was eons ago.
I can tell you this: the Canadian people that I've spoken to in the last couple of years, they'd rather stay here than be there, but they're in Florida instead of
Oh well, yeah.
because they got
cold up there.
The people I'm talking to got real mad when Canada reduced the amount of time they could be out of country.
Okay.
It used to be 4 months, and they cut it down to 3 months, or you lost your benefits and some of those things. So it forced a lot of our snowbirds to go back to Canada before it was time to go back to Canada.
But they give very nice benefits in Canada. I mean, it's universal medical coverage, if I'm not mistaken.
Which takes 2 years to get your checkup.
Okay. Well, unless
Have
you
you
got
seen
money.
Have you seen the timeline on that?
No.
It's terrible.
Okay.
It's terrible, and that's the people I talk to are like, yeah, it sounds great
On paper.
on paper.
Okay.
I was like, it would be like being outside your HMO constantly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way it is up there. It's which is awful. Which is an awful feeling.